It's not written word, don't worry. It's not spoken word, it's nothing like that. I promised it, and I shall deliver. Actually, I'm going to go to that mic because the cable's on there. I need to walk. Shoot that radio mic. Yeah, I forgot, didn't I? Next wedding, if anybody needs a radio mic, come and see me. I've got a bunch of them that I've acquired. Along with this nice little setup here. This is in widescreen. It's not going to stop people laughing, darling. Right then. Let's see. Grab this. Presenting properly. This is actually in draft as well, so it's really, really light, so I'm not being very clever, but anyway. The marriage of... A benefits realisation analysis. Well, I didn't copy this off the internet, I promise. Alright. So I'm going to walk you through a preface. The scope of this particular presentation. The origins of the project. It's a bit less than 57 minutes for this. Projected data. I've been having a look around and got some good ideas about where it's going. Benefits analysis, so I've just had a quick look at what the benefits of marriage are. I've got a few ideas about that. Jeff's got a lot to say. And some closing statements, which obviously you'd expect me to make, because I'm not sure what across the dictionary. It's probably something I'll leave to do. Something like that. Stuff it, bro! So, preface. Marriage? What? Well, for you all, this is a party, an excuse to have a drink, or in Kellen's case, an excuse to use the disposable cameras to take pictures of his privates in the toilets. And I've already warned you that I was going to tell you about that. I hope there is, because I'm looking forward to it. This is an agreement that I've theoretically entered into for the rest of my life. I never saw myself as a married man yet. Here I am married, as of now, but the annulment window is still open, Vicky. With that in mind, I spent some time researching this marriage lark, and so I think you all owe it to me to listen to my findings, because from this day forward, I'll be married and you will go back to being your normal, boring selves. Whoops. Since I previously thought everyone who's ever got married or is still married is mental for doing so, I thought it was only fair to have a read up about what marriage means. Even though I didn't think it applied to me, there are some clear benefits according to my personal source of knowledge and wisdom. Wikipedia, Jasmine, from which I have borrowed some nuggets of wisdom for my arguments. Just to make it clear the following, I don't have the fancy degrees that Peter has to back up my understanding of our fine language, but I do have an appreciation for the beauty of it. Since words and language are a pure art form and are subjective, I shall unabashedly and without shame apply my interpretation of the sentences that follow. Page 1 down. Marriage, also called matrimony or wedlock, is a social union or legal contract between people called spouses that establishes rights and obligations between the spouses and their children, and between the spouses and their in-laws. I hate to bring this up, but James Madeline, as we agreed, I expect the dowry of 300 rupees and 2 predictive dairy cows by the 30th of the month, or our contract is null and void. People marry for many reasons, including legal, social, libidinal, that means sex, emotional, financial, spiritual, and religious. Marriages can be performed in a secular, civil ceremony or in a religious setting. The act of marriage usually creates normative or legal obligation between the individuals involved, which is beneficial for me, because she now legally has to do all the housework. Marriage can be recognised by a state, an organisation, a religious authority, tribal group, a local community, or peers. It is often viewed as a contract. Civil marriage is the legal concept of marriage as a governmental institution, irrespective of religious affiliation, in accordance with marriage laws of the jurisdiction. This This means states, organisations, religious authorities, private communities, and last but not least, you, my peers, have an obligatory role in making sure that she does some housework. Well, I understand. I've not really read this, to be honest. I just did it one night, all in one go. While I understand that some of you liberal dandies may be shaking your head in disgust, I plead with you that this is merely an interpretive view, and if you are to read these words sitting on the toilet and reading from a small screen of your phone, such as I did, not so small now though, got a new phone, a big screen, to loan, then you may also find yourself drawing some beneficial conclusions once your matrimonious epiphany occurs. Moving on. Scope. So let's not diddle around any longer with how people feel. Let's get into the meat of this and what it means. Who does it affect? It affects me, her, in her best hat, and that guy, who, that was the first time he tried to drink from a cup. I brought it out for him and he just put his hand in it and then laughed at Peter. Brilliant. Page 2 down. Simple. Origins. Many people ask us where we met. It's a funny little tale which takes a long time to tell but fits even easily on this page. That's a cyclic statement, that. Cast your mind back to 1998, 2 years away from the millennium and 98 years away from 1900. Fact. We were only just emerging from dark days of the internet, when it was still okay to call it cyberspace or the virtual world. Whoops. I've got some bugs in my PowerPoint. Back before YouTube and Facebook, back when only intelligent free speakers and technology pioneers had the knowledge to connect to it, we used a system called Internet Relay Chat, or IRC for short, or IRC, or Talk, or whatever you want to call it, where these pioneers met to discuss ideas, call each other fags, and share these magical new MP3 files, which looked a bit like that. And that is an actual picture of a Windows 95 PC running Merck in Windows 1998. It's not my computer, but I googled Merck 1998 and that came up, so win for me. And it's on the same chat server that we talked on, and I remember speaking to some of those people, so yay for Google. Pretty good, that, isn't it? You can't fault that. You can't fault that, clap for Google, yeah. So this is what Vicky and I would have been looking at when we first caught each other's screens. So there I was, an illustrious and respected operator and moderator in the Teens channel, because I was a teenager back then. I wasn't just like a weird guy who hung around trying to catch young ladies. Helen's looking at me like it's a possibility. And her, a lonely visitor, not more than moments away from being kicked from the channel for insubordination. Excessive colours, Victoria. Our eyes met one another's nicknames, and in a moment of madness, fate led us to indulge in a private message session. I never kept any chat logs from our time on IRC, but I can look back and recreate the moment of our meeting. Generic, honest, trustworthy, informal and friendly. ASL. Seems to be good line. Guys, come and chat with me if you need some tips. Page 3. She's playing hard to get though. Some time passes without a response. 18 FUK. She's lying about her age, as we all did. As a side note, don't read into her nickname, she lived in Australia for a year, and that was what she drew on for inspiration when choosing her nickname. Obviously a very deep-seated thing for you. So a little bit more time passes and I'm thinking what I'm going to say next, and that happens. Because it's still no time So yeah, that happened. David and Charlotte looking like, what was that? Back in the day, the internet used to get disconnected when your mum wanted the phone. Not very much fun. So, yeah, that's enough of that slide and that bug in there. Projected data. So looking forward to what do I expect to come out of this project? What can I project as an outcome? I have realistically no good idea, but I look to Google for most answers in life, so I grab the following statistical data for a more informed answer. Divorce rates. Britain is the number 2 divorce rate in the World Cup of divorce rates. So we've got a lot. We've got a good chance of getting divorced. And by the way, the password for our Dropbox on the little cards on your tables, if you take any pictures and you want to send them to us on Dropbox, the password is I want a divorce. It's hilariously ironic. I'm not sure the guy at the registry office found it so funny when we suggested it's the password for the webcam screen though. He sort of went a little bit silent after that. Next, where people met. So on a more positive note, between 2005 and 2010, 12.2% of marriages occurred in relationships, occurred in relationships that were started online. That means that if those statistics are fairly stable, in 1998 we would have been more likely to meet in our church or choir group. It's most notable that Vicky has a particularly good ear for musical structure. She once asked me, what's this song? And I spent about 6 weeks thinking about it. And I watched music TV and everything, and I was really distracted. And then, yes, it's funny. One day, Going Underground by The Jam came on. And she said, this is that song. I said, that's not the song that you said to me, is it? You swung your arm like it was a pirate chanting. Very interesting. Ceremonial arrangements. I like this one, it's a bit of fun. It goes from very cool to uncool. The areas of butterflies, doves, pigeons, wasps, prisoners, or the kraken. These are all things that people might want to release at their wedding. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford any of those, because just getting prisoners here is pretty expensive, it turns out. And yes, I inquired. And finally, these are the motivations for marriage. My main motivation is meatloaf. Both musically, I'm not a massive fan of meatloaf, to be honest, but I do like the food, so it could work out for me. I've gone a little bit off the script, to be honest with you, because I kind of lost where I am. So we'll have a look at the benefits then. Jolly good. So these are excerpts from foryourmarriage.org, which is not at all in any way affiliated with getting people married. But they have this to say: men appear to reap the most physical health benefits from marriage and suffer the greatest health consequences if they divorce. So it looks like I'm set to lose a bit of weight, fitting up a little bit. I'm going to look better just because we got married. And I'm also, less likely to die. And if we divorce, then I'm pretty much dead. So it's heavy, doesn't it? Married men earn more money than do single men with similar education job histories. That doesn't even make sense to me. This is the bad part of the research. I sifted through. There's literally about 50 pages of this crap. Married women are significantly less likely to be the victims of violent crime than single or divorced women. Married men are also less likely to perpetrate violent crimes than unmarried. some more bugs in my thing there. Violent crimes and unmarried men, and I've written here, meaning that I'm happy to report that not only is Vic less likely to be the victim of a horrendous homicide, I'm also less likely to be the number one suspect. This, of course, is purely statistical, so I'm making no promises. So that is it over with, and the rest I'm just going to fly by the seat of my pants. Thank you all for coming to, well, those of you who came to the wedding do this morning to see us get married. It was amazingly short. I've spent longer at work in the toilet than you guys know how long I spent in the toilet. And I'm putting the effort in as well. It's not like I'm just sat there reading that. So I just wanted to say that I love you very much, Vic, and I hope that you're happy that we've got married. Yeah. She's pulling her face. She's pulling that I don't want pasta bake tonight face. Can't we have takeaway instead type of face? And I'm pulling that no, my wallet doesn't quite stretch to it again, dear face. Although we do get regular customer printed on receipts from Papa's Pizzas now. And we get big chips when we order regular chips. So that's a bit of a bonus, I suppose. So yes, I love you very much, and all of these people know it now. Okay? Happy? I've got to make sure. I've got to be absolutely sure that she's happy.
It's a bit late now if you're not.
It's a bit late now. Absolutely. And thank you all for listening to me prattle. Thank you for coming to this do. I know that for some of you it's probably a little bit weird because you only know me and like one other person who's come. Thank you, Anita, for making it here. It's very, very good of you to make it here. If you get a chance to talk to Anita, wear earplugs. I knew when she just, look, you can hear her already. She doesn't even have a mic and she's louder than me. It's so true. Yeah, so thank you all for coming. Thank you all for bothering to come. And hopefully it'll be somebody else's that I get to go to next time. Yes, I know. And also I have to thank Madeline and Dave, who've put a massive amount of effort into this, herding these two. You're included in that, Allie. They argue at the faintest, the wind is westerly today. It's easterly. Let's argue about this fact. So I spend a lot of time in my kitchen when they're down, because I just avoid the arguments. So thank you both, because you've made this not only financially possible, they've put loads and loads of money in it, paid for that amazing cake, and they've put forward loads of money to help out with all the arrangements and everything. I'd like to thank my mum for coming. She had to get a taxi this morning and everything. She got another taxi on the way back. The madness. My dad for coming and bring my brother and sister, and Zoe, thank you for coming all the way from Wales. They'll be jetting off again tomorrow because they've got a post office and a tiny little shop to run. Because there's lots and lots of people need spades over in Wales apparently. The mining has not stopped. They're just doing it in defiance of Thatcher. They're just quietly doing it underground with plastic buckets and spades. This one's on a note. Get me another one. I put it on the shop. So yes, thank you to you lot, and thank you to Peter, who is going to talk in a minute, so I'm trying to away as long as this, but thank you to Peter and Roxanne, who've been both witnesses and they've been our moral support, and they've made things happen when we were both far too tired. They've looked after Jeff when we've been knackered, they've looked after our dogs, they've done everything for us, really. So really, when I offered Peter this morning that you could take my place and marry Vicky, this could have been your day, mate. All this could have been yours. Oh, the whole world. So yeah, thank you all for coming, and thank you everyone for putting the effort in, and thank you everybody for giving us presents and things. You really didn't have to. There was no present list. I don't expect money from you, or toasters, or brevels, whatever a brevel is. Is it a sandwich? I don't know. And Skyhorse, I've got to give you props for the comment on the panini over there. He said, is that a panini? Maximum fair play, Horse. Maximum fair play. I thought that was a panini full of snakes. So, yes, thank you all very much, and I will hand over to Peter.